Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the best Smash Ultimate player in the world, and this isn't going to be a full ranking video. One of those is going to be coming, don't you worry, and if you're so eager that you can't wait, I did end up doing a stream where I picked my top 20 players in the world, so a link will be down below to that, but something that I barely touched on in that stream is who is the best player in the world and kind of why. And we have three major picks for this season, and that is going to be Akola, Mia, and Sonics. And the goal of today's video is going to be getting to the bottom of which of those three is the best. And I want to give an honorable mention to Hurt because depending on how you look at the game, you could value him over players like Akola and Sonic just because he has a lot more results than those players, and his results are honestly pretty similar. He's got a handful of major wins, 3 of them to be exact. He's got second place at a P tier, top 4 at an S+. He's got a bunch of really solid results. So if you want to favor him over Sonic and Akola just because he has more, I think that's wrong, but I could see the argument for it. But I would never, ever see the argument for Hurt being over Mia because Mia has, like, as many events won as Hurt has basically been to. So that's the reason that Hurt is going to be staying as an honorable mention, because you could make the argument that he should be above Sonics and Akola, even though I wouldn't agree with it. But you really can't make the argument that he should be above Mia. So let's get right into it with our first player being Sonics, and he has not missed a grand finals in 2024, even prior to 2024. He's had the streak going for quite some time at this point, but he was only able to get one dub in 2024, and that was going to be at the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Open at CECC, and gets the win there, but everywhere else is a second place at LMBM, at Genesis, at the Luminosity Gaming Invitational, at Level Up Expo, at Gommel, and you can't see because of my webcam, but also at Smash Factor 11 gets a second place at all of those, which is obviously still amazing. And now we get to the wins portion. I should explain how I picked the players that I'm actually gauging for good wins in this video. So everyone that was pretty much in contention for top 20 in the world, even considered for that list, does make it into the goods wins list, and everyone else isn't considered at all. And the reason for that is because I don't really care if Akola has like 30 wins on the 30th best player in Japan. That doesn't really mean anything to me. What I care about is how these three guys are facing against the top talent of this game. And if you were doing a full ranking, then yes, obviously those wins would matter. But since this is just the top 3 players in the world and they all have a lot of very juicy wins, I think this is a good enough metric where we can see how they're doing against the best of the best. And as you can see, Sonics is doing pretty well. He's got 2 wins on Sparko, 2 wins on Meister, a win on Zachary, a win on Shuton, 2 wins on Tweak, a win on Zomba, 3 wins on Shattuck, 2 wins on Riddles, a win on DeBuzz, a win on Mudes, 2 wins on Light, a win on Leo, a win on Onan, and a win on Shiny Mark. And his only losses are going to be 2 losses to Shiny Mark, 3 losses to Tweak, 2 losses to Zomba, 2 losses to Shattuck, a loss to Mudes, a loss to Light, and a loss to Riddles. And Sonics has a lot of 2X's just because he's getting second place at a lot of these events. Like, this is from the Luminosity Invitational, this is from Genesis, this is from LMBM, as well as Gommel Grand Finals. Riddles was the guy that sent him into losers. This is going to be from Smash Factor, and then these 2 losses are going to be from Level Up Expo, and you're also going to have Sonics with no bad losses. And a bad loss is pretty much a loss to a player that isn't going to be considered a good win, and we'll get to the intricacies of that as we get later on into the video, but all you need to know for now is Sonics has a pretty good resume. Next up is going to be Akola, and you could give Akola the title of most consistent player of the year, considering 4 of the 5 big events that he's been to, he has won. But Sonics gets second every time, so I'm going to be giving him that consistency thing because he doesn't have this low third place that Akola currently holds with his worst placement of the season at Kagaribi. I know, absolutely tragic. He's also going to have wins at Kowloon 10, Itsukushima 3, and super major wins, no, premier tournament wins at both Umebora and Delta 8, so pretty solid season from Akola, even though he doesn't have a ton to draw from. He's going to have wins on Snow, 2 wins on Shuton, 3 wins on Ken, 2 on Glutiny, 3 on Mia, 3 on Doramigi, 2 on Osimo, as well as wins on Tamapi, Yara, T, and Zachary. His only losses are going to come from Hurt. This ended up happening both at Kagadibi 12. Mia, this ends up happening in the winner side of Delta 8, and Doramigi, and this ends up happening at a random C tier event. Now, the C tier events were not taken into consideration really at all for this video, but the wins and losses that the players received at those events were taken into consideration. So Akola got a couple Doramigi wins there and then has the Doramigi loss there. That's the only time it really becomes applicable in the video, but I do think that I should explain it. And of course, he has no bad losses. So that means our final candidate is going to be Mia, and let me move my webcam because this guy has a lot of results that we need to look at. He's got second place at Umabora 10, Livitational, and Delta 8. First place at King of Fields 95, plus every single one of these major events, including Sumabato SP 45 and 46, Meisuma Ultimate 22, Delta 7, Meisuma Grand Wars, Kalu 9 with Meisuma, and most importantly, he gets the dub at Kagane B12, which was the biggest event of the season, so this is a really nice one to have under his belt. But he has some other major results that aren't as strong. He's got a 17th place at Genesis, a 9th place at Sumabato SP48, and a 13th place at Sumabato SP49, as well as a 7th place at Cirque, which isn't the end of the world. But compared to Sonics and Akola, who, as I've already said, have not gotten lower than 3rd place, it does start to look not super great. And then we get to Mia's wins. And you got to give me a second here because this is a long list. So, Mia's wins are 3 on Osimo, 3 on Tamapi, 3 on Shutone, 2 on Kameme, a Gluto win, 3 on Yara, 5 on Reru, 1 on Udes, 3 on Snow, 1 on Cola, 1 on Shattuck, 1 on Light, 2 on Doramigi, 1 on Yoshidora, 3 on Hurt, and 3 on Akola. Pretty impressive resume, I know. He's also going to have a loss to Tamapi, a loss to Glutiny, 3 losses to Akola, a loss to Zachary, 2 losses to Light, a loss to Shattuck, and a loss to Snow. So, as you can see, Mia has the most wins of any player, but he also has the most losses of any player. But he also has bad losses. And both Sonics and Akola didn't have a single one, and Mia is going to have 5, losing to Peebnut at Cirque to CFL, losing to Raflo at Genesis, losing to Shion, Yonpi, and Kashiya, all at those recent Sumabato events where he didn't end up doing super well. Specifically, he's going to end up dropping that set to Yonpi and Shion at Sumabato SP47, and he's going to end up dropping that set to Kashiya at Sumabato SP49. Now it is time to figure out who our best player for 2024 is, and it wouldn't be a good proof block video if I didn't make a pointless point system that did it for us, and this one isn't too bad to explain. There are 2 ways to get points. You have a player point system and a tournament point system. The way that player points work is if you are a top 20 eligible player, you're worth 1 point, top 10 eligible, you're worth 2 points, and top 5, you are worth 3 points. And just in case you're wondering how I actually kind of based that metric, this is going to be my top 20, at least roughly this is my top 20. A couple things are going to be changing, but you had Akola to Hurt being my top 5 players, and yes, I'm aware this is 6 players, but I couldn't pick between Tweak, Shattuck, or Hurt to actually kick out of this top 5 to make them worth less points, so I just have them all in there. And then from Spargo to Osimo, all of those players are going to be worth 2 points, and everyone below that is considered is going to be worth 1 point, except for Shining Mark, because I have him as an honorable mention, but if I were to consider him, then he would be worth 2 points. But now that we've got that out of the way that players lose points is if you lose to a top 5 player, you lose 1 point, top 10, 2 points, top 20, 3 points. So it's basically just the reverse. But when it gets more interesting is once you get out of that top 20. So below top 20 is going to be minus 4 points, and unranked is going to be minus 5 points. And this is really only applicable to Mia. And in case you're wondering the exact, Peebnut, Raflo, and Yonpi are going to be losing him 4 points, and Shion and Kashiya are going to be losing him 5 points. And I also should add that I don't think Shion and Kashi are guaranteed to not be top 150 this season. I haven't been paying close enough attention. 150 is a lot of people to rank through. I just value Yonpi, Raffle, and Peebnut more as players this season than I do for them. But they definitely could sneak into that top 150. I mean, they have a Mia win after all. But let's actually get into the tournament points and how they end up working. So winning a B tier is going to give you 1 point, A tier 2 points, S tier 3 points, and a P tier is going to be worth 4 points. So if you don't win the event, but you manage to get top 4 at the event, then you're going to get whatever this is, minus 1. So for Sonics, pretty much, what's that? You got second at LMBM. Okay, you're going to get 2 points for that. You got second at Genesis. You're going to get 3 points for that. So you kind of get how it works. And for every placement that isn't top 4, you lose 1 point. So you lose 1 point for 5th, 2 points for 7th, 3 points for 9th, and it just keeps on going down. Again, this is pretty much just the Mia rule, but we had to balance him somehow. And I just want to say before we pick our winner that if we were doing a normal ranking, this tiering system would be a lot different. But because we were just looking for the best player in the world, we can have the intricacies of it be very tight. So top 4 at a major, normally it would be like top 16 at a major to start losing points, like getting under that. And you start getting points once you get into that top 16. For a normal ranking, this would be like top 50, top 30, top 10. But it's not a normal ranking. This is just looking at best in the world. And I think this is honestly the best way to do it, because I don't really care how your record is against the 50th best player in the world unless you are losing to that player. I only want to know how you're doing against the best this game has to offer, because you should be easily beating everyone else. I want to know your records versus players that are also going to be in contention for getting into the top 8s of these major events consistently, as well as players that you just straight up should not be losing to. And I think this system is honestly the best way that you can do that. And now let's actually look at these points and find out our big winners, starting off with Mia. As you can see, he's got 27 points from players and 11 points from tournaments, but he initially had 68 points from players and 25 points from tournaments. So he's going to be the highest in terms of points for both of these, but after he ends up losing points for bad losses and bad placements, he's only going to be the second highest off of points for honestly both of these, because he is going to be tied with Sonics here. So this is where Akola and Sonics are going to be rewarded for their consistency. Starting off with Akola, who has the lowest amount of player points at 34, but because he only ended up losing 4 sets this year, he ends up going down to 29 player points. He loses 2 from Hurt, 1 from Mia, and 2 from Doramigi. So at the end of the day, he's going to have the most points off players, even though he has the lowest amount of player wins, because he doesn't have as many bad losses, and he's going to get a plus 13 from tournaments, and he has no bad placement, so he's not going to get punished at all. And for Sonics, he is going to be 39 points. Initially had more than Nicola, but because of all those second places, those start to add up. You lose a point from Shattuck, and then you lose another point because he beats you in the grand finals. You lose a point to Tweak, and another point to Tweak because he beats you in the grand final. So all of those events where Sonics ends up getting second place, he's effectively losing 2 points for every single one of those that he goes to, even though he's obviously still getting points from the placements, specifically 11 points from the placements. And that is going to tally out to Sonics having 30 points, Mia having 38 points, and Akola winning out with 42 points. And with that, Akola is going to be your best player for 2024. And with that, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Sport has been absolutely unreal. I'm curious to see how y'all would have done this system. I'm also curious to see what your top 10 is like. I'm just kind of curious what people are thinking about the current state of Smash Ultimate, because the ranking season is always very interesting to me. There's so many different opinions that you could have, and none of them are objectively wrong. Just like for this video, you could think it's Mia, you could think it's Akola, you could think it's Sonics. I think all of those answers are fine, but just be civil with each other in the comments while you're down there arguing. Be sure to sub, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.